Hey guys, Oscar here, and I want to talk to you about a little bit of culture and current events that are going on. If you didn't know, a guy by the name of Andrew Tate has been banned from social media. There's a lot of accusations going on about what he did or didn't do, what he said or didn't say. All that stuff is going on. But, you know, about a month and a half ago when I first heard of him and I heard all the people complaining, oh, he's a misogynist, he's an abuser, he's a this and that and this and the other. I thought, well, I already know how this goes, so let me look into this person because he started popping off on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for me. So for a couple of weeks, there wasn't a single day where I would open any of those apps and he was not on the first few scrolls or on the first page. So I thought, well, who is this guy? I start. He also started coming up in motivational speeches and those compilations of four changes you need to make in your life. And you know uh, I follow Jordan Peterson, I follow Jocko, I follow Goggins, all these people. I try to absorb some of their advice and learn from them. Patrick Bet David. So all these people are great as far as I'm concerned. They could have a shitty personal life, but what they put out for the world is superb. So I thought, hey, you know what? There's a claim that Andrew made that I'm going to check out because I haven't seen anybody actually confirm this. So one of the things he said, I think he was talking about being censored and said, how would you decide to ban me at the peak of my internet experience? He's very bombastic of how he talks and how he claims things, but one of the things he says, I'm the most famous person in the planet, the most famous person known. I say, hey, you know what? We can check that out. Because while it's very hard and the media is going to change their perspective to or their output, whatever they put out, they're going to change that to make it fit their narrative. For example, my buddy Shoe Money, he once got to be on the cover of a magazine and they denied him because they said, oh, we don't even know who you are. But he won by all estimates. I'll see if I can pull up the story and put it here. But I know how the media lies. They lie to you, they lie to me, they try to get away with stuff. And as we become more and more and more aware of what's going on, all of us that have been called conspiracy theories are starting to become, this little shining lights of reality. And so I thought, you know what? Let's put this to the test. Andrew says he's the most famous man in the planet.
We implemented it in January. January 1st is when we began, and I am now the most famous man on the planet.
How can you check that? You can't ask everybody. You can't ask, you can't survey an entire country, let alone all 180 countries that we have. You just can't. But Google does have a thing called Google Trends, and I've talked about this in previous videos for the utility that it has to find out what's the proper words, what's the proper terminology to use when you're writing content. And I thought, well, you know what? Let's do that. Let's Google him on Google Trends and see where he stands. And he made these claims around, I think he was on a podcast with either the Nelk brother or the Nelk boys. But he basically said, I'm the most famous person alive. And like most of his statements, it was very outlandish. But I thought, hey, let's check it out.
That's
Yeah,
fact.
I
Look
saw
up
that.
Donald Trump, Joe Biden
They
versus
did it
Andrew
on
Tate and Google's.
someone exposed that on a podcast and verified that's correct.
Yeah.
So let's switch over to my screen here and I'll show you what we're looking at. So first you go to Google Trends and I'll tell you really quick the way it works. For example, what's the most popular ice cream that people search for or the one to know about? Let's try vanilla ice cream. Let's see, and there's the search term and topic. For this purpose, we're going to do all search terms. So basically exactly how people search. So let's do vanilla ice. Okay, looks very popular. Now let's compare it to chocolate ice. Oh, let's do ice cream. Ice cream. So vanilla ice cream. Let's compare that to chocolate. Okay. So there you go. Now you can see which one is more popular and where. By far, well, significantly and consistently over the past 12 months, let's see, chocolate ice cream is more popular. Now, we could get really nuanced and change the spelling into ice cream one word, ice cream one word for chocolate, and keep going. Maybe add 6 terms to be able to compare them. And this will give you a good idea as to where each term is more popular. Now, what happens if we go for, since Google began tracking? So since 2004 until now, looks like it's pretty much an even race. Well, no, right here. Looks like for a while, vanilla ice cream was more popular, and then chocolate took over again. And you can see that there's trends up and down, up and down, up and down. But when Andrew Tate made that claim, he happens to be right. And I'm going to show you.
And I am now the most famous man on the planet.
Let's have a look. I just grabbed some of the most well-known names in the planet, and I put them up here to see which one would be most popular. And we're just going to 12 months because what's one of the most surprising things for most people is that Andrew Tate was not known by anybody outside of like the fighting community, the kickboxing community, because he's a fighter. That's his background. So he wasn't really well known. So beginning this year, you can see, let's see, where do we put him? We put him on the first term as blue. So he is the blue bar right here. You can see all of last year, nothing. And you can see, purple, we have Joe Biden. Yellow, we have Donald Trump. I put Jack Ma there as a world economic or world business leader because he's been missing. So I'm sure people are searching for him, or I don't know what's going on with him, but he's somebody that would be searched for. And of course, Putin has been searched for, and Joe Biden, given that he's the president of the United States, whatever. So notice as we go through, around April, we start seeing some searches for Andrew Tate. There's a one. And to explain a little bit about how Google Trends works, is this 100, the chart that you see here, 0 to 100, is on a bell curve. So for example, when you see right here, Vladimir Putin has 67, Joe Biden has 40, Donald Trump has 31, Jack Ma has 1, and Andrew Tate has -1 or less than 1. It means the highest one is 67, which is Putin, and then the rest are based on that. So it's not a percentage, and it's not an actual like number of searches. It's just an apples to apples comparison of how much that term was searched compared to others, or to the general search volume. So we keep going down, and now we see, okay, well, Andrew jumps from 1 to 4, 5, 4, kind of steady for a couple months, and then it starts taking off, goes to 5, and then when people start talking about him, hey, he's this misogynist, abuser, blah, 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 blah. Well, now he's going up and up and up and up and up. And when he mentioned that he was the most famous person on the planet, and he's still using that term right now, by the way, we can see the first week of August, he was the most searched person on the planet. And if you keep going, he peaked at the last week of August. And at that point, he had the 100% or 100 points for this compared to everyone else. Even Joe Biden was at a low 32 compared to him. So he's still up there. And I suppose that the social media ban will decrease some of this because people would just not have them on the mindshare. I talked about mindshare before, is that ability for somebody to stay in the back of your mind where you're thinking about it, and no matter how he wants to paint it, of course, that will decrease because he's been banned from the major platforms. Now he's moved elsewhere, and he still has a huge following, but those are his fans. Those are the people that follow him no matter where he goes. And he's going to be hurting in the realm of influence in the world. He's going to be hurting because he's no longer on the main platforms. Whether that changes in the future or not, I don't know. I hope it does. But here you have it. So he is or was the most searched person on the planet for a significant amount of time. I mean, there's no way anybody personally, or you or me, are going to get up here compared to any of those people. So Now we could, right? We could try to strive for greatness like this. But just wanted to illustrate that point because I keep hearing all this stuff about him, and I'm like, hey, that's been debunked. We have the fat fuck from H3H3 used to be a fantastic guy, ripping on people, making fun of people that deserve to be made fun of, that deserve to be exposed, and now he's turned into this soft weirdo on the internet, and him and his wife are just out there, they're lunatics, and you can see in their videos they've made like 30 videos now or 25 videos about Andrew Tate, and there's so many claims of crimes and stuff that doesn't really hold any water once you look into it, and they're doubling down, so he might get sued. So one more thing I wanted to point out, he uses a word called perspicacity. He loves using that word. I think he just likes to use big words, sounds fancy, sounds smart. But just before you wonder what that means, it just means discernment. Is I haven't heard that word in years, but here is how much he moves the needle. I took I decided, hey, let's look at that word on Google Trends and see how that affects how his use of the word has affected the zeitgeist of Google Trends and stuff. And so I put it in there and a search, and sure enough, I mean, people use it on a regular basis for the past 5 years, forever. One little spike here. Somebody probably used it in a speech or something or on TV, very popular at the time, and so that caused that spike. But if you keep going, and let's move to just the past 12 months, notice, this is indicative of him probably using it within his word, within his group. And some people are like, hey, what does that mean? They Google it a little bit. Could you see it rising a little bit? But then, as soon as his videos are making the front pages of every social network and everybody's mind share, look at this spike on this. This is about the same time as people were putting him as, or the searches made him the most popular person in the world. So here it is. So even the words he uses become popular. Even the words he uses are creating a circle of influence. And you can see exactly why. Let's go down and see. Instead of doing the local United States only, I switched it to worldwide. And you can see it's all on English-speaking countries. For the most part, South Africa, Australia, US and Canada, Saudi Arabia, large speak English population, Iran, large English population, India, of course. What is this? Nigeria. So Nigeria, they speak English and French, I believe. So, and then we're going to see right here. What are the related topics to this word? It's not the English language. It's not anything else, but it's Andrew Tate is the number one related topic. Now, this is his actual phrase, my unmatched perspicacity, right here. And then other phrases. All of these are related to Andrew Tate. And that is mind-boggling for any marketer out there, any salesperson, anybody that's trying to learn and understand influence. Words matter, but also matters who's saying them. Because if you had me saying this word, nobody would care. They would say, oh, I don't know what he meant by that. He would just move on. But when you garner the attention that he's got, you say a word that's out of the common language of the daily use, people are going to look it up. And I thought that was interesting to point out. So not only is he himself the most searched person, but he's also changing the lexicon. He's also changing the way that people talk about stuff. And I don't know. He's definitely not going away anytime soon. I think that the banning of his social media was a big mistake by all the tech companies because it's just making a lot of people aware of how bad the censorship and the bias of all the social media networks really, really is. Because if you listen to his long format videos, watch an interview with Tom Segura, watch the Nelk Boys interview. Just, I believe 2 days ago, Patrick Bet-David had him on for 5 hours, and that's edited. So I'm guessing they probably talk about 6 hours, maybe a little less, a little over 5 hours. And I would challenge anybody to to find something inherently wrong with what he said. Now, you may disagree with some of his religious views and other stuff, but if you put it all in context, in the larger picture, he doesn't say anything that's actually bad. And in fact, if you were to write this down on paper and say that Alexander Hamilton said this, or maybe Martin Luther King said this, people would be like, yes, let's do this. Like, this is the model we should follow. While you have the lunatics on the left basically condemning him for being a bad role model, but they don't have a better role model to offer. Why? Because they hate masculinity. This is why you have Joko rising, Goggins rising, Jordan Peterson rising, Patrick Bet-David. All these people are bringing back what a male is supposed to be like. So anyway, I'll leave you with those thoughts. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time. Bye.